Chapter 16, Looking Forward to It. On Heavenly Sword Peak, Si Wanning stared hard at Yunjin. Yunjin looked back innocently. After a long silence, Si Wanning sighed in helplessness.
Little junior sister, that was too reckless.
Yunjin's cultivation method might be unorthodox, and her rate of improvement so shockingly fast it was unheard of. But in the end, she had only cultivated for 3 days. No matter how quick her progress was, she was merely at the 8th level of the C refining stage. Meanwhile, that senior brother, Chen, was already at the peak of the 10th level, and on the verge of breaking through to the foundation establishment stage. He had purposely delayed his breakthrough, trying to accumulate more foundation establishment pills so he could break through in one go. A battle between the 8th level and the peak of the 10th. It was hopeless. Yunjin blinked.
Second senior sister, has that senior brother Qin cultivated any Xue level secret techniques?
Si Wanning froze for a moment, then shook her head.
Let's not talk about the C refining stage. Even among foundation establishment stage disciples, only those with outstanding talent can access Xuan level techniques, and even then, just barely. Normally, you'd need to reach at least the golden core stage to be granted access to that level of technique. For the C refining stage, it all comes down to the density and purity of your spiritual power. Little junior sister, on that front, you're definitely at a disadvantage.
Yunjin smiled.
Then it's fine, as long as he doesn't know any.
She now had 2 Xie level sword techniques at the proficient level. Even if her spiritual power wasn't as strong, a single strike would be enough to secure victory. Si Wanning was confused. She couldn't help but ask.
He doesn't know any, but do you?
Yunjin nodded earnestly.
I've dabbled a bit. Second senior sister, can I borrow a sword for the duel?
Si Wanning was even more exasperated.
Lending you a sword isn't a problem. But little junior sister, don't tell me you think that just because you've watched me and eldest senior brother practice for a few days, you've learned swordsmanship yourself.
She said this half-jokingly, but Yunjin responded with complete seriousness.
I think I kind of have.
Si Wanning looked at her and was momentarily speechless. This was a Xue level sword technique. Xian level. If you could master it just by watching a few practice sessions, what was the point of secret manuals? But seeing Yunjin so confident, Si Wanning couldn't bring herself to criticize her. She merely consoled herself that the wager was just a ring. If Yunjin ended up unwilling to part with it, she could offer some spirit stones to buy it back later.
Second junior sister! Little junior sister!
Yue Zhao walked in with a dark expression.
I was just at the law enforcement hall, and happened to see some people registering a contract. Can you guess what the terms were?
Si Wanning, who usually argued constantly with Yue Zhao, now hesitated, seeing how grim he looked. She braced herself and said,
Eldest senior brother, those people were going too far. Little junior sister only agreed out of anger.
Yue Zhao turned his gaze to Yunjin. Yunjin cleared her throat.
Eldest senior brother, I actually think I still have a decent chance.
Yue Zhao narrowed his eyes.
The contract is signed, fine whatever. What I want to know is, how could you let a few low-level C refining stage disciples come to our doorstep and act so arrogantly, leave in one piece?
A flash of ruthlessness flashed through his eyes. He had worked so hard all these years within the sect. Wasn't it all just to improve his junior disciples' lives? And now, his little junior sister had just joined, and someone already dared to bully her at their own doorstep. Does he still have any face left to be called eldest senior brother? Yu Songnian suddenly appeared silently in the room, and whispered something into Yue Zhao's ear. His expression finally eased somewhat, and he said coldly,
Making them suffer all night long is barely acceptable.
He looked at Si Wanning with deep disappointment.
Second junior sister. You need to reflect on yourself. You always act so fearless. Yet you let someone bully our little junior sister right in front of you. If it wasn't for third junior brother, wouldn't they have gotten away with it?
Si Wanning muttered a guilty response. But in her heart she thought, the thing is, little junior sister didn't actually suffer at all. Eldest senior brother hadn't seen her in action when she scolded people. It was deadly. Even Ye Danxia's face turned green. Yue Zhao turned toward Yunjin and instantly put on a gentle, jade-like smile.
Little junior sister, this duel is clearly unfair to you. The contract may have been signed, but don't worry. I have ways to make the other party cancel it willingly.
Yunjin clicked her tongue in admiration. This eldest senior brother was clearly no ordinary man. She remembered that in her past life, her master Lin Ya's eldest disciple was known as a weakling who was constantly bullied and targeted. Unable to fight back, he eventually died. But this eldest senior brother was nothing like the rumors. Either the past was just hearsay, or this life's Yue Zhao was someone completely different. Thinking back to his recent words and actions, a thought came to Yunjin. Could it be that Yue Zhao was a transmigrator? She'd gone through countless small worlds before, including highly modern ones, and Yue Zhao's mannerisms were a perfect match for someone from such a world. If he really was transmigrated, then his drastic change in character made perfect sense. And if this kind of eldest senior brother was backing her, then Heavenly Sword Peak was likely not as easily bullied as outsiders thought. Yunjin smiled sweetly.
Eldest senior brother, I'm the one who asked to sign that contract. I believe I can win.
Her voice was firm and without a trace of hesitation. Yue Zhao stared at her for a moment. Seeing how resolute she was, though he had no idea why she was so confident, he finally said,
If little junior sister is confident, then I won't stop you.
There's one more thing I'd like to ask for help with.
紧爱的.
Just say it, junior sister.
Su Wanning quickly replied. Yunjin smiled sheepishly.
It's like this, I perform better with a crowd. The more people watching, the stronger I get. So could you help spread the word about the duel? Ideally gather as many spectators as possible.
That way, she could bask in glory and harvest a huge amount of emotion points. As soon as her request came out, everyone from Heavenly Sword Peak fell silent. How to put it, their little junior sister's personality. It's kind of like an attention seeker. No. That couldn't be. She was such a pure and adorable little junior sister. She is just a child, after all. And what child doesn't love a little attention? After a while, Yue Zhao nodded with some difficulty.
All right, I'll help promote it.
Over the years, he had done quite a bit of work in Tianxing sect. And though much of it was behind the scenes, spreading a few rumors would be easy.
Thank you, senior brother and senior sister.
Yunjin beamed.
Just thinking about how many people will come watch tomorrow has me so excited.
Everyone from Heavenly Sword Peak. There was definitely something off about their little junior sister. But that must have just been their imagination. Right? Chapter 17, absolutely hilarious.
Did you hear? A new disciple who joined just 3 days ago is going to challenge Chen Ha, who's at the peak of Qi refining stage.
Huh. Isn't Chen Ha already at the peak? I remember he's been stockpiling foundation establishment pills. He should be having a breakthrough any day now. And someone who's been here for just 3 days dares to challenge him.
Exactly. And she's from Heavenly Sword Peak.
I know her. She has a 5-element root. Nearly got tossed into the outer sect if it weren't for that Heavenly Sork master who scavenged her like trash.
Honestly, joining Heavenly Sword Peak is worse than being in the outer sect.
True. Everyone knows that Peak is getting a new master in 3 months anyway.
Never mind that. Come on, let's go watch the show. I heard there's even a betting pool. 2-to-1 odds on Chen Ha. And 5-to-1 if you bet on that new girl, Yunjin.
5-to-1. If she somehow wins, that payout would be crazy.
Yeah, but does Yunqing really stand a chance?
Good point. Better bet on Chen Ha, basically free money.
Let's go place some bets. These are basically free spirit stones.
At the sparring arena, though it was merely a duel between Qi refining stage disciples, it had drawn massive attention. The entire platform was packed, leaving no room to move. Yunjin looked out at the crowd, extremely satisfied. So many people. Just imagine how much emotion points she could harvest. My people. Another wave is coming.
Little junior sister, hold the sword properly.
Su Wanning said worriedly as she handed her a sword.
Your cultivation isn't strong enough yet. This sword is a low-grade spiritual weapon, and you can barely wield it.
Thank you, second senior sister.
Yunjin sweetly thanked her. She took the sword and clumsily twirled it once. As a result, The sword slipped from her grip and clattered to the ground. Si Wanning immediately covered her forehead. Yue Zhao asked nervously.
Little junior sister, are you really going to be okay?
No problem, no problem.
Yunjin said as she picked the sword back up.
I've only ever watched you guys train before and never actually held a sword, so I wasn't steady for a moment. But you have to believe me. A peerless genius like me will adapt quickly.
The three of them from Heavenly Sword Peak. They are very worried.
Little junior sister, you must do your best.
Yue Zhao said, his face tense. Yunjin blinked and suddenly lowered her voice.
Eldest senior brother, don't tell me you placed a bet on me.
Yue Zhao immediately looked shocked.
How can you think of me that way? Gambling is bad. I never take part in such things.
Really?
Yunjin was skeptical. Yue Zhao nodded.
I'm always the dealer. Take all the profits.
Yunjin.
Huh.
Alright, that's a pretty slick move. Classic 66, Yue Zhao said in a low voice.
If you win, we'll make a huge profit this round. We'll split it 50-50.
If Yunjin lost, he'd probably lose his entire fortune, but Yue Zhao didn't say that part.
Deal.
Yunjin said confidently and jumped up onto the stage with ease. Chen Hao saw this and immediately stepped up onto the platform too. Below the stage, Ye Danxia stood there with a weak body and strong will. She had no idea what happened last night, but her stomach hurt the whole night. She almost broke her legs running back and forth to the toilet. And today she could barely stand. But, for the sake of the ring, she would crawl here if she had to. The senior brothers who had accompanied her to Heavenly Sword Peak also looked sickly today. Ye Danxia asked and found out that they'd also suffered the entire night. If not for the fact that Chen Hao, the main person involved, was totally fine, Ye Danxia would have suspected that Heavenly Sword Peak had pulled a dirty trick on them. All she could say was maybe they ate something they shouldn't have and got food poisoning.
Don't worry, little junior sister.
One of the senior brothers said.
This time, senior brother, Qin will definitely win. That ring is as good as yours.
There's even a betting pool going on.
Another said.
I've already bet my entire fortune on Chen Hao. Once he wins, I'll easily double my wealth.
Ye Danxia was moved too. She immediately brought out all the welcome gifts that Zhou Wuji and the others had given her. 10 beating pills and a low-grade spiritual weapon.
Senior brother, can I place a bet with these?
That senior brother said.
You'd have to convert them into spirit stones first. How about you just keep these things yourself? They're worth 100 low-grade spirit stones. I'll place the bet for you. After the match, I'll give you the winnings.
Ye Danxia's eyes lit up, and she sweetly replied.
Thank you, senior brother.
The senior brother happily ran off to place the bet for her. The others looked regretful. Why hadn't they thought of that? If they spoke up earlier, they could have earned her favor instead. This little junior sister was definitely going to take off in the future. Building a good relationship early was the right move. With that in mind, more people gathered around Ye Danxia. Some handed her water, some fanned her, some brought her a chair. Each of them plays the part of the thoughtful and gentle senior brother.
Thank you, everyone. You're all so good to me.
Ye Danxia said with a grateful face. Over on the female lead's side, she was enjoying queen-level treatment. Chen Hao looked down at the crowd and sneered in his heart. Heh, these guys' attempts to curry favor with little junior sister were so low level. But him? He was about to win her that ring she had longed for. That is the true way to win her heart. Also, this Yunjin had no sense of propriety. She'd dared to speak rudely to little junior sister earlier. This time, he was going to properly humiliate her in front of everyone. Chen Hao looked at Yunjin coldly.
You're a new disciple, so don't say that I'm bullying you. You can make the first move.
Really?
Yunjin looked a little surprised. Chen Hao gave a cold laugh.
I'll even let you take 3 moves first.
Yunjin didn't refuse and nodded seriously.
Okay, I'll use this to get a feel for the sword technique.
Getting familiar with sword technique on the stage. What kind of move was that? In an instant, the amount of spirit stones bet on Chen Hao skyrocketed. Yue Zhao watched with his heart in his throat. This round might be too big to handle. Who knew how it would end? On stage, Yunjin picked up her sword and started swinging it randomly. Her so-called sword technique had no form or structure and looked laughable.
Chen Ha.
This is a guaranteed win.
Everyone go all in.
叶丹霞 looked at Yunjing's clumsy movements and smiled mockingly. She lived with Yunjing for so long, and had never once heard that she knew any sword techniques. Now she was just putting on a clown show on stage. Chen Hao sneered.
Junior sister Yun, are you sure you even know sword techniques? I bet even if I just stand here, you won't be able to touch me.
Yunjing nodded with a troubled look.
I think so too. How about this, senior brothers? You stand right there. Don't move. Absolutely do not move. I'm going to attack now.
Yunjing clumsily twirled the sword and charged at him, shouting loudly as she ran, as though trying to boost her own courage. Chen Hao felt disdain in his heart. He casually added a layer of spiritual energy as defense, already thinking about how to make Yunjing's defeat as humiliating as possible. He would pay back all the frustration his little junior sister had suffered at Yunjing's hands today.
Senior brother Chain, I'm about to use a sword move.
Yunjing shouted loudly. Chen Hao nearly burst out laughing. A sword move. She thought randomly swinging her sword around counted as a sword move. What a joke. Chapter 18 Yunjing, how do you become like this?
Here it comes.
Yunjing gave a deliberate warning as she loosely thrust her sword forward. Chen Hao didn't even think of dodging. He's thinking, what pose would look the most dashing? After all, defeating Yunjing would be easy. The challenge is doing it with style. The corners of Chen Hao's lips lifted in a casual, breezy smile. He elegantly flicked his sleeve in a graceful motion. With this flourish, Chen Hao could already picture Yunjing being flung away in a sorry state. He was thrilled on the inside, though his expression was working hard to maintain a composed look. It really wasn't easy pretending. But the next moment, pooh! A soft cracking sound rang out. The spiritual shield he had casually put up earlier instantly shattered. Chen Hao's pupils suddenly contracted. He instinctively stepped back. But it was already too late. Yunjing's sword had reached him. Just as Chen Hao tried to dodge, petals of a lotus suddenly danced before his eyes. In that brief moment of distraction, a flash of sword light clashed. Chen Hao was violently struck and thrown to the edge of the dueling platform.
Senior brother Qin, are you okay? That was my first time using a sword. Did I misjudge my strength?
Yunjing looked at him with an innocent face. The entire arena instantly fell silent. Everyone stared blankly at the platform, completely stunned. Except for Yue Zhao. Yue Zhao immediately turned to give an order to Yu Songnian.
Third junior brother, go inform the dealers to halt the betting.
Yu Songnian nodded calmly and quickly vanished from sight. After a moment of silence, a sudden commotion erupted in the arena. Some quick-witted spectators tried to place late bets on Yunjing. Unfortunately for them, Yue Zhao's response had been faster, and they were too late. Those who betted heavily on Chen Hao began to grow uneasy. No way, it's not possible, right? A seasoned peak C refining stage disciple might actually lose to a newcomer. Wasn't the most gifted cultivator in this batch. Ye Danxia with her celestial spirit root. Even she couldn't possibly do something like this.
That new disciple, she's already at the 8th level of C. Refining stage.
Gasps rippled through the crowd. Yunjin had just used spiritual energy in her attack. A few attentive disciples noticed it immediately. 3 days after entering the sect. From a mortal to 8th level of C refining stage. This is insane, right? Either she was crazy, or they were.
Little junior sister, what's going on with this Yunjin?
Several disciples turned to Ye Danxia. Since she seemed close to Yunjin, Ye Danxia was dazed.
I don't know either.
Don't panic. Senior brother Qin can still stand. He hasn't lost yet.
Everyone's attention snapped back to the platform. Sure enough, Chen Hao, full of tenacity, braced himself and slowly got back on his feet.
Yunjin,
Chen Hao's expression was ice cold.
I admit, I underestimated you. But now I'm serious. I now declare that this is where it ends for you.
He slapped his storage pouch, and a disc-shaped spiritual weapon floated out in front of him. Chen Hao gave a snort.
Go.
The disc flew straight toward Yunjin's dantian. A vicious gleam appeared on Chen Hao's face. He had acquired this disc at great cost. Yunjin being at the 8th level of Qi refining stage was unexpected. But so what? At the C refining stage, this spiritual weapon was unrivaled. He didn't know how she cultivated so fast. But he already made up his mind. This time, he would cripple her on the spot. Once her dantian was destroyed, no matter her potential, she would never cultivate again. This time, Chen Hao didn't hold anything back, and poured his full strength into the attack.
That Chen Hao, he's actually going all out.
In the audience, Yue Zhao's expression changed. He pulled out a talisman, ready to intervene even at the cost of breaking the rules. If little junior sister couldn't hold her own, he could still save her.
That disc is indeed formidable, but it might not work on our little junior sister.
Si Wanning said, a little hesitantly. She wasn't sure if she had seen wrong. But that flash of sword light from Yunjin earlier looked a lot like the lotus sword technique. And it didn't look like a beginner's level. It looked like it had been practiced for years. Flawlessly smooth and natural. But hadn't Yunjin only seen her practice the lotus sword technique? Just by watching, she mastered it on her own. Was that even possible? Si Wanning couldn't believe it, even though she had seen it with her own eyes. Yue Zhao's gaze also shifted slightly.
This weapon's not bad.
Yunjin said calmly, her eyes flashing coldly despite her faint smile. She raised her hand. Once again, a sword light flashed. Chen Hao sneered.
You think my weapon can be stopped that easily? This thing is...
Before he could finish, the words stuck in his throat. Clang. A crisp sound rang out. The aggressive spiritual weapon was actually struck down by Yunjin. It couldn't move anymore. Chen Hao's eyes immediately widened like copper bells. What the hell? Had he seen a ghost? No. There was something wrong with this woman's sword technique. Her swordplay looked casual on the surface, but it was secretly profound. It seemed to be from a legitimate sword manual. So, she had only been in the sect for 3 days. Yet not only had she reached 8th level of qi refining stage, she even mastered a sword technique. Was that even possible? Yunjin smiled as she slowly walked toward Chen Hao.
Senior brother Qing, just now, did you intend to destroy my dantian?
Looking at this woman smiling faintly, a wave of deep fear surged in Chen Hao's heart. He stammered. Yunjin chuckled lightly.
A real man should own up to his actions, you know.
Fear flashed in Chen Hao's eyes. Seeing Yunjin raise her sword again, he could no longer bear the pressure and shouted.
Icon.
However, before the word, concede, even finished leaving his lips, a sharp pain tore through his dantian. Chen Hao looked down in horror. A streak of sword light had pierced straight through his dantian.
CD?
He finally forced out, before collapsing at the edge of the dueling platform. Yunjin smiled slightly.
Oh, you're conceding. Sorry senior brother, you said it a little too late. I only just heard it.
Chen Hao's lips trembled. He couldn't speak for a long time. His face was as pale as a sheet. He had lost. And not only did he lose, his dantian had been destroyed. His cultivation path ended here.
Senior brother, the foundation establishment pills?
Yunjin said, walking over and looking down at him. Still smiling, but to Chen Hao, that smile looked like it belonged to a devil. Trembling, Chen Hao handed over a small porcelain bottle. Yunjin took it, her smile bright and cheerful.
Now we're even.
She turned to step off the stage. Suddenly, a crisp voice rang out. Ye Danxia stood there, looking utterly shocked.
Xiaojing, when did you become like this?
Yunjin turned back, looking at Ye Danxia with interest. Thanks to the large number of spectators at this match, she had harvested 5,000 emotion points in one go. Some individual values even hit the 1 to 200 mark. Clearly, those came from Ye Danxia. In recognition of Ye Danxia's generous contribution to her points fund, Yunjin was willing to listen to a little nonsense. After all, you never know. She might gain even more points from it.
Xiaojing, how could you strike so ruthlessly? I can't watch you continue down the wrong path. Here. Apologize to senior brother, Qi, and return the foundation establishment pills to him.
Ye Danxia said, full of self-righteous indignation. Chapter 19 Bald Little Sweetheart. Ye Danxia stood righteously. Yunjin could even see a golden glow radiating from her. Yunjin tilted her head slightly, then suddenly laughed. Ye Danxia didn't understand and raised her voice.
Xiaojing, you really can't keep walking down this misguided path. As your good sister, I have the duty to guide you back onto the righteous road.
Everyone nearby looked over at Ye Danxia. Under her protagonist's halo, the male disciples gathered around her were especially moved. So this was the little junior sister. So righteous. So fearless. So kind. Completely different from that Yunjin. The difference is like night and day. Yunjin's smile deepened as she asked.
Go ahead, explain it clearly. What exactly did I do wrong?
Ye Danxia, now a little proud, responded without hesitation.
Isn't it obvious? It was supposed to be a fair duel, but you crippled senior brother Chain's Dantian. Such cruelty! How is that behavior fitting for someone on the righteous path? It's no different from that of a demon.
With all eyes on her, Ye Danxia's voice grew even louder. In that moment, she felt like the world revolved around her. Yunjing almost laughed. Demon. When it came to the demons, who could compare to Ye Danxia? She had openly chosen a partner from the demonic path. That demon lord had killed countless people. Yet once he got with Ye Danxia, all it took was one sentence. He already turned over a new leaf. And everything he did in the past no longer mattered. Yunjin's pupils darkened slightly. Her voice was calm.
Ye Densai, did you not see that he was the one who tried to destroy my Dentian first? That disc weapon was aimed directly at me?
Ye Danxia brushed it off without concern.
But you're fine now, right? Xiaojin, a person can't be so petty.
As soon as the words left her mouth, without warning, Yunjin raised her sword. A flash of sword light shot straight toward Ye Danxia. Ye Danxia's pupils shrank in panic. And she screamed instinctively. The sword light passed. Ye Danxia was shaken, yet completely unharmed. Then, she reached up to feel the top of her head, her expression turning to terror. Her hair had been partially shaved off by Yunjin's sword. When she touched her head, she felt her bare scalp. The disciples around her stared. They really tried to hold it in. But they couldn't. Because the bald patch Yunjin had shaved into her head was perfectly round. Shaped exactly like the disc weapon from earlier. Yunjin looked at it and chuckled. She really should have added a voiceover.
Shine, bald little sweetheart.
Hearing the barely suppressed laughter all around her, Ye Danxia was on the verge of losing her mind. She screamed hysterically.
Yunjin, I'll kill you.
She lost all reason and charged straight at Yunjin. Yunjin casually sidestepped. Ye Danxia stumbled and fell flat on the ground.
Little junior sister.
Little junior sister, are you okay?
A crowd of male disciples immediately rushed forward. Someone suddenly noticed Ye Danxia's bald spot and couldn't help but turn away with a quiet chuckle. Ye Danxia broke down even further, glaring at Yunjin with murderous eyes. Yunjin looked innocent.
Densai, why are you so angry? I just shaved a bit of your hair. I only wanted to tease you a bit. Densai, a person really shouldn't be so petty.
She was throwing her own words right back at her. Ye Danxia's lips trembled, her eyes filled with cold, vicious light. She wanted to kill Yunjin. She must kill Yunjin. But Yunjin wasn't flustered at all about being hated by the female lead. Good heavens. That duel just now, with so many people watching, had only earned her 5,000 emotion points. Yet just now, one wave from Ye Danxia alone gave her 800 emotion points. This female lead, really reliable, really great. Honestly. Yunjin felt that she shouldn't have said she wanted to cut ties with Ye Danxia during the sect entrance exam. A friend this valuable, really worth it to have her. No worries. It's not too late to start rebuilding their friendship. Yunjin looked at Ye Danxia with deep affection in her gaze. After all, this was her bald little sweetheart.
Yunjin.
Ye Danxia forced a smile through gritted teeth.
I don't blame you. I was just impulsive earlier. But now I forgive you. Thanks, I guess.
Yunjin replied flatly, completely insincerely. Ye Danxia kept up the act.
Since I've forgiven you, then about senior brother, King. Oh, I forgive him too.
Yunjin said calmly. After all, she had already gotten her revenge. Forgiveness was fine now. Ye Danxia's expression cracked. She said slowly.
I mean, you should apologize to senior brother, and return the Foundation establishment pills to him. That ring on your hand should also be handed over as compensation. Is that so?
Yunjin blinked.
Sure. Densai, I just shaved your hair and you screamed you'd kill me. That deeply hurt my young and fragile heart. How about this, you compensate me first? I won't ask for much. Just 10,000 low-grade spirit stones.
Yunjin was spouting absolute nonsense. Ye Danxia nearly lost it.
Xiaojing, that's too unreasonable.
Yunjin's expression turned cold. Her tone completely flat.
Oh? But are your demands reasonable? The one who challenged me was senior brother Tane. The one who filed the contract at the disciplinary hall was also him. The one who tried to destroy my Dantian was still him. And now, I'm the one who should apologize. I should be the one to return the pills and give compensation. Let's be honest here. The only reason senior brother Qin fought me was all for you. Then Sai, if you want my ring so badly, why not come get it yourself? Why drag others into it? All these senior brothers treated you so well, don't you feel guilty using them like that?
Yunjin continued word by word.
Also, you say you were standing up for senior brother Qin. But look at him, he's gravely injured and still lying on the cold arena floor. Did it even cross your mind to go help him or call for healing? Honestly, I wonder if you cared about him at all, or if you're just trying to look noble while eyeing my ring.
Ye Danxia's face turned pale. She instinctively looked toward Chen Hao's condition was terrible. His face was ashen, and now there was even a flicker of doubt in his gaze as he looked at her.
Senior brother Chen, I wasn't trying to take advantage of you.
Ye Danxia quickly said.
We all get it.
Yunjin raised her brows.
Even if he died for you, it would still be his own choice, right? And all these senior brothers around you. If they were used up one by one, I wonder how many you'll go through before you're satisfied.
At that moment, the male disciples around Yunjin looked visibly uncomfortable. Ye Danxia weakly protested.
I didn't mean it like that. If I were you,
Yunjin followed up immediately.
I'd compensate senior brother Qin with a foundation establishment pill. Then I'd go to the sect master and ask for a rejuvenation pill. His cultivation base isn't too advanced. If he takes it in time, there's still a chance to restore his Dantian.
She wasn't just saying this to Ye Danxia. She was more so saying it for Chen Hao to hear. And sure enough, Chen Hao's eyes flickered after listening.
I just joined the sect. I can't ask for something like that.
Ye Danxia said flustered.
Oh, so then senior brother Qin just fought and lost everything for nothing.
Yunjin.
What a shame, all that loyalty and no reward in return.
Ye Danxia snapped.
You're clearly the one who injured him.
Yunjin replied righteously.
He has a grudge against me. So what if I injured him? Aren't you the one close with him? Shouldn't you help him? If you won't even do that, aren't you being cold and heartless? With that kind of selfishness, what's the difference between you and the demon clan? Densai, you really disappoint me.
Chapter 20, I left a trump card. Yunjin's words weighed heavily, every sentence firm and unshakable. Everyone was stunned. How to put it? What she said didn't quite make sense. But somehow, it kind of did. More importantly, wasn't this exactly what Ye Danxia had said earlier? Yue Zhao couldn't help but click his tongue in amazement. If this little junior sister of his had transmigrated into demigods and semi-devils, she'd have to be someone like Mu Rongfu. Using others' words against them with such flawless precision. It really is 666. He had originally been planning to step up and support Yunjin. But now, there was no need for him to say a single word. As the eldest senior brother, he was starting to feel kind of useless. Yue Zhao rubbed his chin with a faint sigh of sorrow. Meanwhile, all eyes turned in unison to Ye Danxia. Excuse us, Miss Yao. If we take your own words and turn them back on you, how will you defend yourself now? Ye Danxia's scalp prickled under all the stares, especially from the male disciples at her side. After Yunjin's gentle instigation, their eyes now held traces of suspicion. This is not good. If this matter wasn't handled properly, Ye Danxia's carefully crafted image could take a huge hit. Putting on her most pitiful expression, she said softly,
No matter what, it was because of me that senior brother Qin got hurt. I'll go beg Master right away. If Master refuses to help, I'll kneel until he agrees. Even if Master gets angry with me, I won't regret it. Senior brother Qi, don't worry. Even if I lose Master's favor, I'll still do my best to help you.
Tears shimmered in Ye Danxia's eyes, the very image of delicate, heart-wrenching, pitiful.
Little junior sister.
Chen Hao finally spoke up. Her eyes brightened instantly with expectation. After all she had said. If Chen Hao was a qualified simp, he would definitely refuse her offer. Then it wouldn't be her fault she didn't help. It would be Chen Hao who didn't want her to. With a bit more pitiful words, everything would blow over.
Then I'll have to trouble you.
Chen Hao said, pausing before continuing.
With how much Master adores you, I'm sure he won't refuse.
He actually agreed. Ye Danxia froze, her forced smile barely held on.
I'll do my best.
But in her heart, she cursed Chen Hao to hell. This Chen Hao really didn't know how to read the room at all. Just wait. She would make him pay for taking what wasn't his. Clap, 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 clap. Yunjin suddenly applauded cheerfully.
See? A perfect resolution to this matter. Densai, hurry and take senior brother back to get treated.
This is called a perfect resolution. Ye Danxia shot her a venomous glare. Perfect for only you. Yunjin smiled even brighter.
Densai, we're such good sisters. Once you're done with everything, remember to come find me. I still have so much to say to you.
You still have so many emotion points for me to harvest. Ye Danxia clenched her teeth. She used to chase after Yunjin, begging to be her sworn sister. But now that Yunjin had flipped the script, and suddenly accepted her with such affection, Ye Danxia inexplicably felt a chill down her spine. She mumbled something and left in a hurry with a few male disciples, helping carry Chen Hao away. Yunjin watched their backs retreat, and raised an eyebrow. This time, she had deliberately left them with a weakness. But Ye Danxia did not seem to notice yet. No matter. The people under the sect master were bound to catch on eventually. This system of hers thrived on sensational drama. But with fame came envy. And before Niya recovered from his injuries, she needed to find both protection for herself, and for Heavenly Sword Peak. Once word got out, this protection would come to her doorstep on their own. The protection doesn't have to last long, just 3 months would be sufficient. Enough to flip this entire world upside down. Don't disappoint me, Ye Danxia. Yunjin's gaze deepened. Heavenly Sword Peak. Si Wanning stared at Yunjin. Then stared some more, and more. Yunjin's scalp tingled under her gaze and couldn't take it anymore.
Second senior sister, I know I'm shockingly talented and all, but if you keep looking at me like that, I'll start getting shy.
Si Wanning 越招, Yu Songnian 22, she's not wrong per se. But why does it sound so obnoxious? Si Wanning took a deep breath, and another.
小景,
She asked after adjusting mentally.
that sword technique you used on the stage, was that the lotus sword technique?
Even as she asked it, the words felt absurd, and she shook her head in disbelief. But Yunjin just answered cheerfully.
Second senior sister, you noticed? Yep, that was the lotus sword technique.
Si Wanning blinked dazed.
Oh, it just looks similar.
Wait, this wasn't right. What Yunjin meant was, that sword technique was lotus sword technique. Si Wanning's lips trembled.
But I don't remember ever teaching you that technique.
Sword techniques weren't just about moves. There were specific ways to circulate spiritual energy, different force application, etc. Things that needed to be studied systematically.
You didn't have to teach me.
Yunjin raised an eyebrow.
I watched you practice plenty of times, didn't I? After watching you long enough, I'll eventually figure it out.
Si Wanning's brain stuttered.
Watch long enough, eventually figured it out.
That's right.
Yunjin.
The spiritual energy circulation, and the force application was a bit trickier than the sword moves. So it took me a while to learn. I had to watch the whole thing 10 times before I got the essence of it.
10 times. Just 10 times. Silence. Si Wanning was spiraling. How long did it take her to reach the entry level of this sword technique? It seems it was after reaching the golden core stage, when her spiritual control improved significantly. After that, it took her 3 whole months, plus the guidance from their master, before she could barely attain the entry level. What about Yunjin? She only watched it 10 times, and already mastered it.
I'm trash. I'm absolute trash.
Si Wanning mumbled, dazed. Yue Zhao patted her shoulder sympathetically, then straightened up, proudly puffing out his chest.
Little junior sister, you're a true prodigy. But second junior sister's sword technique is only a mid-grade, xue-level secret manual. You might be able to learn it by watching. But your eldest senior brother's technique, void-breaking sword technique, is a high-grade, xuan-level secret manual. Just 1 step away from D-level. That's not something you can learn just by observation?
Yunjin stared at him, a strange look in her eyes. Yue Zhao mistook it for disappointment and chuckled comfortingly.
Don't worry. You're already incredibly talented. Once you reach Golden Core stage, you can apply for the secret manual, and I'll teach you personally.
Yunjin looked at Yue Zhao. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something but stopped. Yue Zhao, basking in the glory of finally feeling like a proper senior again, cleared his throat and offered some heartfelt advice.
Also, about today. Senior brother still needs to say a few words. Even if you could beat Chen Hao, you shouldn't have done it so cleanly. And you also revealed your lotus sword technique too. Remember, no matter when or where, always keep a trump card just in case. That's the only way to remain truly undefeatable.
Yunjin nodded seriously.
Eldest senior brother, I did leave a trump card.
Oh,
Yue Zhao's face lit up with approval. Yunjin smiled shyly.
I actually learned your void-breaking sword technique too. But I didn't use it today to save it as a trump card.
Yue Zhao.
what?
Chapter 21. Innate Sword Body. Yue Zhao's lips were trembling. Oh. So she chose his sword technique as her trump card. Should he be thanking Yunjin? Thank her, my ass. All he wanted to do was to grab Yunjin and demand an explanation of how she achieved this.
The void-breaking sword technique. You also just watched it 10 times and mastered the entry level.
Yue Zhao's voice quivered.
More or less.
Yunjin replied modestly.
Was that too slow?
Yue Zhao could only respond with a hollow laugh. Meanwhile, Yu Songnian glanced at his two collapsing senior siblings, a flicker of relief flashing in his eyes. Thank goodness. Thank goodness he ran away fast.
Little junior sister.
Yue Zhao ground his teeth.
Demonstrate both techniques. I need to see this for myself.
He still couldn't quite believe it. Yunjin readily agreed. She picked up her sword and casually began to perform. First the lotus sword technique, then the void-breaking sword technique. Si Wanning and Yue Zhao's expressions shifted from initial disbelief to numb resignation. Oh. It's only a genius. Yeah, we've seen a lot of those before. Stay calm, we must stay calm. Yunjin finished the two sword techniques with ease and was about to speak when suddenly a voice rang out.
When did you learn those sword techniques?
Yunjin turned. It was none other than her master that ditched her with her senior siblings and mysteriously disappeared, Ni Ya. Now, his eyes sparkled with astonishment as he looked at Yunjin like she was some priceless treasure. One is a mid-grade Xuan-level sword technique. The other is a high-grade Xue-level sword technique. She's already at the entry level. And the proficiency is actually pretty high. This. Could Yunjin be born with a sword body? Thousands of years ago, there had been a peerless sword genius on this continent. His spiritual roots were average, but his comprehension of sword techniques was unmatched. As long as it involved sword techniques, he could grasp them at a glance and master them in days. His swordsmanship advances by 1,000 miles a day. Before ascending, that man founded the Holy Land, Kunlun Sword Sect. Within Kunlun Sword Sect, he left behind a Tian-level secret sword manual, only accessible to those born with a sword body. Since then, Kunlun Sword Sect had searched for another like him to inherit the secret manual. The last confirmed innate sword body was now the sect master of Kunlun Sword Sect, and one of the strongest cultivators alive. And is it possible that this disciple, he had casually picked up, possesses an innate sword body? No, we can't jump to conclusions yet. Innate sword body. How rare is that? Whether Yunjin's talents had reached that level is still unknown. Stay calm. He had to stay calm. Lin Ya questioned Yunjin about the situation in detail. After confirming again and again that she had indeed learned those arts just by observation, without any instructions, his gaze toward Yunjin grew increasingly impressed.
Taking you in as a disciple may have stunted your potential.
He murmured. Yunjin shook her head honestly.
Not really. I'm a genius, so it would have been the same everywhere.
Lin Ya's mouth twitched. It took a long pause before he muttered.
You all wait here. I'll be right back.
He hadn't expected to find such a massive surprise today. Of course, to confirm whether Yunjin was truly born with an innate sword body, he'd have to get someone else to verify. Meanwhile, outside the sect master's hall, Ye Danxia was pacing around, frowning deeply. Right now, Chen Hao was receiving treatment, but it only handled the surface injuries. If they need to heal his Danshan, a rejuvenation pill would be needed. Does she really need to ask Master for something like this? All for a senior brother still in C-refining stage. Ye Danxia had originally planned to cultivate an image of being pure and selfless, yet here she was, already asking for such a precious pill, just days after entering the sect. What would Master think of her? What would her 5 senior brothers think of her? Under the sect master, there are many ordinary disciples, but including her, there were only 6 direct disciples. Before her, all previous 5 direct disciples were male. Because the other senior brothers were away on missions, she had only met eldest senior brother, Ruan Jun. Eldest senior brother was quite kind to her. Maybe she can look for him first. Just as she thought that, a gentle voice called out,
Little junior sister. Why are you pacing around out here? Are you looking for master? He's currently busy handling matters related to the new disciples, so he's not in right now.
叶丹霞 instinctively shook her head.
No, I wasn't looking for master.
Oh,
Ruan Jun tilted his head. 叶丹霞 eyes flickered. She softly replied,
Eldest senior brother, I was actually looking for you.
Oh. Ruan Jun looked at her demure, hesitant expression and felt his heart stir. Did his little junior sister miss him? Truly, it's his fault. As the sect master's top assistant, he'd been swamped with duties organizing the new disciples that passed the entrance exam. All matters related to joining the sect had to be personally handled. He had no choice but to temporarily entrust her to some refining stage junior brothers. Although these few junior brothers' cultivation isn't high, they are mature and dependable, and should be able to take good care of the little junior sister. He thought. Ruan Jun's expression darkened. Those people actually dared to disobey his orders, and left little junior sister alone. Seeing Ye Danxia's nervous and slightly withdrawn demeanor, Ruan Jun's heart ached.
little junior sister, did something happen?
Ye Danxia's eyes shimmered with a faint redness. She gave a heavily edited version of the incident, removing anything unfavorable to herself.
Eldest senior brother, I truly didn't expect Yunjin to be so cruel. Now senior brother, Qing is asking me for a rejuvenation pill. I honestly don't know what to do.
Tears glistened in her eyes as she looked up at Ruan Jun. Seeing this, Ruan Jun felt something twist in his chest. He had only left little junior sister with these people for a short while, and yet they still let her suffer injustice.
This is my fault.
He said with remorse.
I shouldn't have left you alone these past few days. Don't worry, leave this matter to me.
Eldest senior brother, you're always so good to me.
Ye Danxia said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Ruan Jun only felt more protective of her. He pulled her aside and patiently asked her to explain in more detail. Ye Danxia recounted everything carefully. As she spoke, Ruan Jun's expression shifted multiple times. He had already felt suspicious of Yunjin, but he never thought she could be this outrageous. A disciple had only entered the sect for 3 days, jumped from a mortal to the 8th level of C refining stage, and her sword techniques were refined and precise. Ye Danxia hadn't explained it clearly, but Ruan Jun knew about Chen Hao's disc-shaped spiritual weapon. It was no ordinary artifact. In a situation where there was a difference in cultivation level, Yunjin had cut through it in one strike. This Yunjin's sword technique is definitely not simple.
Did she consume any spiritual treasure or rare elixir?
Ruan Jun asked, narrowing his eyes. Otherwise, it was impossible for her abilities to advance so quickly. Ye Danxia shook her head, but then her eyes flashed as she remembered the ring. Could it be? Was there really something profound about the ring? Yunjin had refused to hand it over no matter what. Was it because she had already discovered its secret? The more Ye Danxia thought about it, the more convinced she became. Her face darkened. She should have taken the ring by force? Ruan Jun, observing her expression, asked calmly.
You seem to have remembered something.
Ye Danxia replied in a low voice.
The Yun family was wealthy in their region. Perhaps they did manage to conceal some rare treasure. But she's never really treated me like family, so I'm not sure.
Ruan Jun sneered.
Then it's likely true. But don't let it trouble you. Elixirs and treasures have their limits. Your natural talent will always belong to you. One day, you'll trample her beneath your feet.
Ye Danxia felt a warm sense of reassurance in her chest. That's what she's saying. How could Yunjin be that powerful? It turns out she secretly used some rare treasures. But she only has a 5-element root. She could show off for a short while at most. Ruan Jun's eyes narrowed even further. He added.
Also, the sect rules are clear. If it wasn't approved, it is prohibited to pass down secret manuals. Yunjin's swordsmanship must have been taught to her in secret by those from Heavenly Sword Peak. That alone is enough to have her expelled from the sect.
Ye Danxia's eyes lit up with delight. Chapter 22. Chopped my head off for you? Though her heart was surging with triumph, Ye Danxia kept her expression conflicted.
Senior brother, Yunjing isn't a bad person at heart. She was just a mortal who finally gained a chance to cultivate. If we really expel her like this, wouldn't that be too cruel?
Yuanjun looked at her with deep affection.
Junior sister, you're far too kind. After everything she's done to you, you still speak up for her. You really leave senior brother at a loss.
Senior brother, she may be heartless towards me, but I cannot be unjust to her.
Ye Danxia said with great emotion.
You,
Yuanjun's expression was full of doting helplessness.
for everything else, I can indulge you. But not this. Yunjin's heart is clearly twisted, she must be removed. Just leave this to me.
Ye Danxia nodded, seemingly unwilling but helpless.
I'll go to Heavenly Sword Peak.
Yuanjun declared.
Little junior sister, wait for me here.
Senior brother, please go easy on her.
Ye Danxia added quickly, her words soft and considerate, but inside she was ecstatic. Yunjin. How dare she humiliate her again and again, even going so far as to make a fool of her in front of everyone. She had nearly believed Yunjin to be genuinely capable. But it turned out that she'd only used some secret treasure. The more Ye Danxia thought about it, the deeper her hatred grew. On the way to Tianxing sect, Yunjin had said so many things about being sisters and sharing their path. Yet in the end, she gobbled up the good stuff by herself and never thought about offering Ye Danxia a share. Just like back in the Yun household, always pretending to be kind. Now Ye Danxia's desire for that ring burned even hotter. This time, she must get this ring. There had to be something precious inside. Heavenly Sword Peak. Yunjing was chatting with her senior brother and sister when suddenly, a loud voice suddenly boomed.
Yue Zhao, bring that little junior sister of yours out now.
Yue Zhao's brow twitched and stepped outside. Yuanjun walked over expressionlessly.
Senior brother, we may not have the full story yet.
Ye Danxia trailed behind, putting on her usual gentle act. Yuanjun's eyes locked on Yue Zhao with barely concealed arrogance.
Yue Zhao, that junior sister of yours, Yunjin, seemed to be quite pleased with herself these days. Huh. What? Now, she doesn't even dare come out to face me.
As the eldest disciple under the sect master, Yuanjun was widely admired for his talent and conduct. But in Tianxing sect, he had a long-standing rival, Yue Zhao. Yue Zhao's master is clearly the laughingstock of the sect. It is impossible for him to offer any support or influence. However, Yue Zhao's popularity in the sect was baffling. Many junior disciples supported him openly, and despite lacking any sect resources, his cultivation never lagged behind. If anything, he was always a step ahead. Yuanjun never said it aloud, but deep down, he seethed with resentment. And now, with Yunjin's weakness in hand, he'd finally caught a handle on Heavenly Sword Peak and on Yue Zhao himself. This time, he had to enjoy watching Yue Zhao beg him for mercy. Yunjin peeked out of the hall with a packet of jerky in hand. Seeing Yuanjun, she smiled. Ah! So the trap she deliberately left behind was finally working.
Senior brother Ron, want some jerky?
She asked with an easy grin. Yuanjun snorted coldly.
Trying to curry favor with me now is pointless. Yunjin, before you've even formally entered the sect, you've already stolen our sect's secret sword techniques. Do you realize your crime? And Heavenly Sword Peak, privately passing down sect techniques is also a major offense. You're all going to face punishment.
Yunjin blinked innocently.
But I read the sect rules, senior brother Ran. It says we can't privately teach sect techniques, but it never said anything about learning them on our own.
Yuanjun almost laughed.
So, you're saying you learned sword techniques without anyone teaching you?
What kind of joke is this? Yunjin nodded, dead serious.
Exactly. It's not that hard. I watched senior sister and senior brother train a few times and picked it up.
Yuanjun uncontrollably let out a laugh. He looked at Yunjin as though he was facing a clown.
Yunjin, you're just someone who used a spiritual treasure to advance quickly. Reality is, you only have a 5-element root. What? Do you really think you're some unrivaled genius? Observed sword techniques a few times and already mastered them. Do you think you have an innate sword body?
He sneered more with every word. Ye Danxia's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. She chimed in.
Xiaojing, I also only learnt of this. The reason you progress so fast is because of a spiritual treasure. You should know. Those things shouldn't be used recklessly. Although they might help you make rapid progress in the beginning, they can ruin your foundation in the future. You're being too eager for quick success and instant results.
Ye Danxia spoke in a scolding manner. This was the first time in the past few days that she felt a sense of superiority in front of Yunjin, and got a little carried away. Yunjin looked at her with amusement.
Whoa, Densai, your hair grew back fast.
Ye Danxia froze. That bald patch. She had painstakingly cut strands from the back of her head to cover it, and now it was barely noticeable. But Yunjin's single jab made her teeth itch with rage.
What hair?
Ruanjun didn't hear about this matter from Ye Danxia and couldn't help but glance at her suspiciously. Ye Danxia hadn't mentioned this to him at all. Yu Songnian's fingers suddenly twitched discreetly. A bird swooped down and snatched away the wig, revealing a big bald circle in the middle of Ye Danxia's hair. Ruanjun was stunned. Ye Danxia, oblivious, whispered coyly.
Senior brother, I'll tell you later.
She looked up with soft eyes and a shy smile. Ruanjun recoiled like he'd seen a ghost. It wouldn't be so bad if she wasn't bald. But when she talked to you with that expression and a bald head, it was honestly terrifying. Ruanjun unconsciously took a step back.
Senior brother, what's wrong?
Ye Danxia asked, confused. Then she froze, horrifyingly reached up to her head. The wig she very painstakingly made was gone, leaving behind a large bald patch. Ye Danxia instantly screamed and clutched her head, mortified. Ruanjun tried his best to turn away, grimacing.
You dare bully my little junior sister like this? All of you to the discipline hall. Now!
Yunjin smiled calmly. This was the exact trap she'd laid. To the discipline hall. No objections here. She tilted her head.
But what if I really did learn the sword techniques on my own?
Ruanjun nodded.
Then I'll cut off my head and offer it to you.
Yunjin gave him a sympathetic look.
Can someone still live without a head?
Ruanjun.
What?
Is she crazy? Like hell she learned them by herself. It's nothing more than being stubborn. Chapter 23. What's wrong with admitting it directly? Ruanjun let out a cold laugh.
We'll see how arrogant you still are once we reach the discipline hall.
He turned a sharp, expressionless gaze on the disciples of Heavenly Sword Peak, trying to sniff out any trace of panic. But to his dismay, not only was Yunjin perfectly calm, even Yue Zhao and Si Wanning wore relaxed expressions. As for Yu Songnian, he wears the same expression year-round to begin with. Ruanjun narrowed his eyes. What was going on? Why did they look so utterly unbothered? Could it be that Yunjin had actually learned those sword techniques on her own? No. Impossible. He knew Yue Zhao was cunning. This was likely just an intimidation tactic to make him back down. But is he Ruanjun so easily fooled? They were definitely going to the discipline hall. Meanwhile, Ye Danxia, in a panic, had finally recovered her wig from where the bird had tossed it into the bushes. Her hands trembled as she repositioned it onto her head. Only after confirming that her bald patch was once again covered did she calm down slightly. She stepped up to Ruanjun again, ready to speak. But Ruanjun, apparently haunted by the memory of her gleaming scalp, instinctively averted his eyes, despite the wig being back in place. Ye Danxia.
What?
A flicker of hurt crossed her face, followed by a wave of irritation. She was too frustrated to even speak. Seeing her fall silent, Ruanjun felt a twinge of guilt. He softened his tone.
Don't worry, junior sister. Once we've dealt with Yunjin, I'll have someone refine a hair growth pill for you. This small matter can be easily handled.
Ye Danxia's eyes lit up, her expression finally improving. She sweetly said,
Thank you, senior brother.
Ruanjun tried his best to shift his eyes away from her wig, and nodded with a slight smile. He even took the opportunity to mock.
Some people, lacking talent, can only resort to underhanded tricks. But no matter how deep your scheming runs, a 5-element root is still a 5-element root. No matter how deep their schemes are, it still won't help ascending to heaven.
As he spoke, he intentionally glanced at Yunjin. To his surprise, Yunjin nodded earnestly.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. Only people like senior brother Rar, who need 3 whole days to learn Sheijue, are true geniuses. I who learned it in a single glance, am nothing than a clown.
She said it so sincerely. It sounded like she wholeheartedly believed it. Yue Zhao and Si Wanning couldn't help themselves, and bursted into laughter. Yue Zhao even fanned the flames with a grin.
My junior sister's talent is terrible. And yet, some people can't even measure up to her. What does that say?
Si Wanning thought for a moment.
It probably means they're actual trash.
Ruanjun's face instantly turned dark. He snapped.
So what if you're good at talking? Let's see if your tongues are still that sharp, once we're in the discipline hall.
Yunjin smiled sweetly.
Looking forward to it.
Ye Danxia, meanwhile, was unusually quiet. Mostly because half her attention was focused on her hair. Terrified she'd once again become a bald little baby. Heavenly Sword Peak. Discipline Hall. In this cultivation world, the cultivation stages were C refining, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, soul transformation, fusion, tribulation crossing, and finally, the supreme Mahayana stage. Tianxing sect was a mid-tier sect. The highest cultivation here was only at the fusion stage. Cultivators who reached the soul transformation stage can become elders. Those who advanced to fusion gained eligibility to oversee individual peaks and contend for peak master titles. Currently, the sect leader, Zhao Wuji, was at mid-fusion stage. Slightly stronger than the other peak masters. Yue Lin, the current head of the discipline hall, had slightly lower cultivation, the late stage of soul transformation. He had been personally appointed by sect master Zhao Wuji to lead the discipline hall, and was known to be one of Zhao Wuji's close confidants. That's why, when Ruanjun marched Yunjin to Yue Lin, his face bore a smug grin. Yue Lin would of course side with him. This time Yunjin is finished,
How, Master Yu?
Ruanjun said loudly.
Upon investigation, Yunjin, a new disciple, used refined sword techniques during a duel. Clearly this was taught to her in violation of sect rules by the Heavenly Sword Peak disciples. This constitutes a serious breach of regulations. By rule, Yunjin should be immediately expelled, and the Heavenly Sword Peak disciples punished accordingly. I request your official ruling.
As the sect leader's eldest disciple, Ruanjun's cultivation was nearly equal to Yue Zhao's, just a step shy of soul transformation. Given Zhao Wuji's partiality toward him, Ruanjun was even seen as a potential future sect leader. Naturally, Yue Lin was quite courteous to him. He nodded slightly and replied without hesitation.
If it's been investigated, then it shall be so. Yunjin will be expelled. Yue Zhao, Si Wannian, and Yu Songnian will each forfeit 1 year's resource quota.
Everything went smoother than Ruanjun had imagined. A smile tugged at his lips. Ye Danxia's gaze flickered, already plotting her next move. Once Yunjin was cast out, she'd be nothing more than a stray dog. At that point, if Ye Danxia ordered her to become a servant, would she even dare refuse? That ring would then be hers. As Ye Danxia pondered how to bring the subject up again, Yunjin suddenly chuckled and spoke.
How, Master Ye, making a judgment based on one side of the story? Is this how the discipline hall operates? If rulings are handed down so casually, then what's the point of you even being here? Why not just hang a banner outside that reads, "The discipline hall is a sham. Whatever Ruanjun says goes."
Her tone was icy with disdain. Ruanjun's expression darkened.
Yunjin, what's that supposed to mean?
Yunjin sneered.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Yue Zhao added calmly.
If word gets out that Hall, Master Yu, makes rulings without hearing both sides, I'm sure everyone will praise your sharp judgment and wisdom.
His voice was dripping with sarcasm, and Yue Lin's face turned green. He wasn't worried about Yunjin, a mere new disciple. But this Yue Zhao was a bit of a problem. It's no secret that the sect master had been hinting, both openly and implicitly, that everyone should suppress Heavenly Sword Peak. Logically speaking, anyone with a bit of common sense would know to stay far away from its people. And yet, this Yue Zhao, no matter how hard they tried to marginalize him, low-ranking disciples still rallied to him in droves. His prestige was alarmingly high. If he started spreading nonsensical rumors, it could actually stir up trouble. Yue Lin's face grew colder.
Since you're so insistent about hearing both sides, let's hear yours. What's your explanation?
Yunjin had just opened her mouth to reply, when Ruanjun cut in with a sinister smirk.
That day in the sparring arena, dozens of disciples saw you use an advanced sword technique. I can find plenty of witnesses to confirm it. I advise you not to get clever.
Ye Danxia also chimed in softly.
Xiaojing, what's done is done. We're still sisters. Even if you can't stay as a disciple, I'll keep you close. It's only in name. But you'll bear the title of a servant.
Yunjin didn't even look at this lunatic. She simply said,
I've never denied that I use sword techniques.
Yue Lin blinked. She admitted it just like that. Then why the whole fuss earlier?
Which Huan-level sword technique did you learn?
He asked coldly. There was no way someone could master anything better in just a few days. It could only be the lowest level type of Huang manual. Yunjin smiled.
The sword technique I used is the Lotus sword technique.
Yue Ling frowned. Was there such a Huang level sword technique? Something's not right. His eyes suddenly widened. That was not a Huang level sword technique at all. The Lotus sword technique is a mid-tier Shui level sword technique. In the entire Tianxing sect, barely more than a handful of disciples had ever managed to learn it. And now a disciple who had only joined 3 days ago claimed she had already mastered it. Yue Ling immediately laughed. He was just about to mock her. When Yunjin casually drew a sword, gave it a gentle swing, and a lotus petal quietly bloomed in the air.